the way I do it is vision. And so I have to have a vision. I feel every man, every woman should have a vision of where they're going, right? Because the chaos is going to come no matter what. And when the chaos comes, it's going to try and pull you or sway you left or right. The only thing that's going to keep your boat going straight is the vision and the GPS that you know where you're going, right? So things are going to try and pull us off track. But as long as we're locked on, it's a little sway and we're back on point, right?
What's going on, everybody? This is Ike here at the House of Greatness. I'm with my co-host, Joseph Rojas. And this is actually episode 2 with Santiago Campos.
Número dos.
He's back, numero dos in Espanol for who's watching.
There you go.
Welcome back, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be back. I'm
Ironically, today is the day we're actually dropping episode 1.
Yeah. They got
Actually,
fire
it'll go live
dropping.
tomorrow.
We're bringing it right back.
Yep. Yeah, that'll go live tomorrow.
Okay.
This will obviously be episode 2. So, man, what do you guys want to talk about?
Man, I don't know. Rojas is he's the insightful one. Comes in with the introspection and the thoughts.
You always go to the creative visionary.
Nah, man. I think, you know what? Like, I think one of the main things too that I like about the balance of my partner Ike is we balance each other's in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them being, even when we do these podcasts, there's different topics and we have obviously different people that we come across the way.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that we interview is people I never met before, such as yourself. I had never met you. I'm meeting a lot of these people through Ike. He's always been in the forefront of things.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's interesting because these conversations start and then it's like I'm learning, I'm getting to know the person.
Yeah.
But I've also have enjoyed that through these podcasts, we get to have a balance of some of the questions that I could have, such as the more product-driven, business-driven into that realm. And then I come in with questions where I'm more interested in like how we function as human beings, how we operate at high levels, and the things that we struggle with, the things that kind of makes us, I guess, human.
Yeah.
So I think the podcasts, always love watching them because they become this perfect balance of both, right? And today we were talking about an interesting topic, and we've been discussing this for a little bit. And Ike has been he's been always very on the go. You know, everyone that knows Ike and knows how amazing he is.
Ike's a mover.
He gets shit done.
Yes, right.
You know, he's been obviously to get a lot of these things done. We're in this industry of like go, go, go.
Yep.
So it's constantly having to be stimulated and taking things to kind of get us up and wake us up even when we don't want to. And through that has, as of recently, he's came off of some of those things to kind of clean his body and give his body a break. And with those things, he's realizing where he doesn't feel he's operating at these levels. And I'm interested to see, or I'm interested in the conversation, how the conversation has started and things that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like we are still amazing regardless of any influence on the outside. And I'm trying to get him to realize like, regardless of all these things that do enhance our performance, that's still, that thing that makes us great is still inside. 100%. So I think some of the topics that I've been curious to kind of embark on has been, where do you find as an entrepreneur, as a partner, as a husband, as a son, where do you find the energy and how do you navigate through that when you don't have the desire or the energy to perform and you still have to show up?
I think that's a good topic. That has a multitude of different answers that you can kind of go from. And I think everybody will pull different sources on what lights their fire, so to speak, right? But I like to do, it's funny. So if you feel that you kind of come in with the more self-reflection, introspection, stuff, and then Ike's the driver, he's the mover, he's the product, the business. And so the funny thing is I purposefully connect those two, and that's actually how I move, right? And so in order for me to move in the business department, product, whatever it is, scalability, I know what that's going to require. And so then I reverse engineer it and I say, who do I need to be able to do what I want to do, right? And so I guess a better way to answer that question is, what do you do when you're not motivated, or it's getting pulled on you, because this world has a high capacity to pull on us in a multitude of different ways, right? It's not just work, it's our relationship, it's family, it's the drive home. You never know, right? And so the way I do it is vision. And so I have to have a vision. I feel every man, every woman should have a vision of where they're going, right? Because the chaos is going to come no matter what. And when the chaos comes, it's going to try and pull you or sway you left or right. The only thing that's going to keep your boat going straight is the vision and the GPS that you know where you're going, right? So things are going to try and pull us off track. But as long as we're locked on, it's a little sway and we're back on point, right? And so one is vision. So I always try to I'm a vision guy. I tell this to a lot of my friends. I don't live in the now. I live in the now. Obviously, I'm experiencing, but my now is always purpose and vision driven. And so how do I stay aligned? Well, I mean, I got a vision, and so I know I'm not going to be motivated all the time. So what I do is I reverse engineer and I build habits that kind of basically small daily steps that I know that small steps will lead to my strides that will be in alignment with my vision. And then I just try to keep that purpose, because we're not going to feel it. But what am I doing this for? Why are we doing? Oh, we're here to impact. Oh man, well, I mean, I got to inspire somebody today. I cannot do that. So then I kind of fire myself up a little bit. And so, but I think, everybody kind of pulls from different sources. But to Ike's point, Ike's a mover, man. I love one thing about Ike is that when you talk to him, he's just boom, boom, boom. Solutions, thoughts. And I love that mind because I'm the same way. And so I sent y'all something earlier, and we'll probably go over it a little bit later, right? But it's called a DISC assessment. And I have a feeling I know where Ike's at on the DISC assessment, right? And we'll see what the test results say whenever we do this. It's not a pass or fail. It's just what category you fall in. But individuals that I believe that are really high drivers, they're really focused on productivity. Move. And I think as long as we stay vision oriented, our steps will keep moving. But if we don't have the vision of where we're going, I don't know, it can get a little lost. The world gets a little heavy, man.
Yeah.
Right?
How do you feel about that?
About Ike no longer being Super Ike? You guys want to call
Ike's always Super
call
Ike.
the pink elephant in the room?
No,
huh?
man. My belief is
Always the GOAT.
Super Ike is a little bit different. I've for those who know, I've always been a big stimulant guy, energy drinks or fat burners, pre-workouts, pretty much since, I don't know, call it 2001 when I was in high school. I mean, I was popping ephedra playing collegiate baseball games, man.
Oh, damn, bro.
Allegedly.
Drinking red lines and Indo rushes back in the day, bro. Like, it's just always been really go on the stimulant side. And, I'm 40 now. Obviously, as you get older, things change a little bit, and I'm trying to find a way to, not consume as much stims. And progressively over the years, I've actually decreased I don't need a 400 milligram pre-workout anymore.
Same.
I care more about pump and nitric oxide stuff and things of that nature.
Yeah.
But, I'm a big nootropic guy. For those who know me, they know I love nootropics, and I love to find things that help my cognitive intuition, just the way I think, the way I move. I want to be sharp.
Yeah.
If you guys know me, I could do 9 things at once.
Yeah.
It just happens naturally. Like, it's just, I've been able to do that, right? So I've been about 5 weeks in now. We're pretty much been stim free. First 2 to 3 weeks was rough, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
He gave me a warning. He's like, just to let you know, this month is going to be rough. So hang on.
Yeah.
Still, obviously, don't feel the same, when you do that stuff. But, I think to the original point, as we talk about whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're an employee, whether you're a business owner, whatever you are at the end of the day, I mean, everybody gets to a point where you just get burnt out. You get tired. You question your vision or your purpose, or what are we doing here? And everybody has a different life, different things, different circumstances going on in their life. But I think there's some people that just become content with that and just say, hey, this is my life, and it is what it is. I've always, just like you said, I've been a go-getter. Like, I go after what I want and have that vision, and I strive. That's it. That's my goal. Is strive to get to that vision, right?
Yeah.
Get to that purpose, get that purpose, but get to that vision, get to that goal that I've set myself to do. And I've always told everybody, nobody's gonna outwork me.
Yeah.
I was the same way on the baseball field. I was wasn't the most talented baseball player ever, but I was the first one on the field, last one to leave every day.
Go.
7 days a week, trainers on the weekends. Lifting wasn't really a huge thing back when I was in school. I mean, some people did it, but not like today. I was training 2-a-days.
Yeah.
So that, kind of filled me up. But I knew if I can work harder than everybody else, I have a pretty good chance of succeeding versus somebody that technically is naturally more gifted or talented in traits or characteristics than what I possess. So, the same mindset I've adapted to my business acumen and my career, and it's been just work.
Yeah.
And those customers who know me, friends who know me, Monday through Sunday, doesn't, probably if it's after 10 o'clock, I'm sleeping, guys. But, after that, I'll respond at, 6 a.m. in the morning. I can't go to sleep if I've got emails in my inbox, if I got unread text messages, WhatsApp messages. Now you got TikTok threads, Twitter, Facebook, all the other crap. But yeah, I've just always kind of been that way. So, but I mean, hey, it's 7 o'clock here. I mean, we've had a long day. You flew in this morning. You're on 2 hours of sleep, man.
Yeah.
It was a crazy work day, just keeping up with a lot of projects for us today. And we're still here shooting. And there's why? We don't have to do this.
No.
Like we could have just drove home, and just call it a night or something like that. But I think all of us obviously have a purpose in what we're doing.
Yeah.
We all own our own business currently.
Yep.
We're striving to grow that. And I think that's a big difference. I think when you're doing something for yourself, like at the end of the day, there's no schedule technically. Like it's also pressure. It's make it or break it.
Yep.
You only got a paycheck coming technically every 2 weeks or however you get paid. But to me, that's the motivation.
Yeah.
And it's also you kind of directly control your outcome, right?
Yeah.
It's on us.
100%.
So that's always been a big motivation. Luckily, I've been a brand owner for many, many years in different brands. And so I've always owned small pieces of business, but I've always acted like I owned 100% of it. Yeah. Like it was, make or break, do or die. I've always kind of operated that way. So, but I think, I mean, there's times, you guys know I love the gym. There's times over the years where I'm just miserable working out. Like, I'm not excited. Again, it's just not motivated, right? Yeah. So I always try to find a way to switch it up. Sometimes it's just going to a different gym. Yeah. Believe it or not.
I did that same
different
thing
scenery, different people. Yeah. Maybe switching the time of the day I train. Yeah. I remember back when I was in high school and college, literally the night before my workout, I would dream about what I was working out the next day. Like that's how hardcore. Like I can't wait to do chest tomorrow. I'm gonna start with this, and I'd be thinking about this going to bed for the.
That's when you're in it. Your heart's in the right place, and you're in it. Like I mean, and I think that's a big separator, right? Because when you have somebody that's cognitively thinking about that thing when they're not even doing that thing, versus the other person that's dreading about doing the thing, when that thing comes or it's not there yet. Those are vast differences. And so I think when it comes to the point of entrepreneurship, or starting a business, or being, maybe a C-suite executive or something like that in a corporation, to your point is like, I worked like if it was my own company. I had that same work ethic. I had like this go all in mentality. And I mean, I can't tell you how many countless nights I would sleep, and in my sleep, I'm selling subs. Like I'm slanging in my, I'm like, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I designed it.
In my head, man. Your design?
I see shit like, I'll close my eyes at night, and if I have an idea that I want to output, I'll start literally moving things around to the times where I got to tell myself, like, all right, chill, leave it for tomorrow, because if not, I'll get up and I actually put it together. 100%.
Same. And I think, and to each his own, right? But, I don't know who the audience is, the main audience for this show, right? But if this audience is meant, for other people to get inspiration, right? Because I know we're here to impact, and they're here to get inspired. Maybe they're doing something and they want to do something bigger or greater. Maybe they want to take a dream and make it go to flight, the house of greatness. You got to have a fire inside of you that you want to do more. And whatever you're constantly thinking about, that's probably where intuitively your body or your mind and career probably wants to go. But I think that's a big separator as far as people that, have to do things, and then people that are literally dreaming about doing those things. Like, it's a big separator, because the road, and we know this very well, the road to being a solo entrepreneur where the weight is fully, we're talking about this off camera, where the weight is fully on your shoulders, whether if you don't get it done, you don't get paid, right?
Right.
And that's a big separator. That's a big difference. And truly, that pressure, you really can't handle that pressure. You're not going to want to handle that pressure unless there's something inside that you actually get fulfillment for in whatever that vision is of whatever the work is. And so I think that's a recipe probably to a lot of our success, because if you hadn't always gone all in the way you've gone all in, you probably would not have, you probably have a couple less network,
Right.
friends, people in the industry, probably have a couple less experiences or knowledge in certain maybe ingredient profiles or, you know, different formulas that didn't work together. By same token as used, maybe it's an extra label or another brand that you didn't tweak it to learn a new technique that you use in the future, like whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
Like all those extra reps really just prepares us for, I think, what we're meant to do.
I was having that conversation with my sister a couple weeks ago, maybe last week or a week before that. We were kind of discussing some of those things where, you know, I in the family, I've been lucky enough to say that I've had the most like opportunities within my career, and I've dealt with a lot more things than everybody else in the family, and just in general too. I feel like I've had this beautiful life. It's a blessing, but a lot of that came too. It didn't. I was telling my sister, it didn't happen by luck. You know, like I didn't just woke up one day, or I'm at the position where I'm at now, doing what I'm doing by luck. I told her, I was like, it was all the things that I was doing from even back then. When I was younger, I've always been a homebody, right? When everybody else was going out, when everybody else was doing these things, and I know this is the cliche stuff that people talk about, and they say that, you know, they were doing this when other people was partying, but like I really was. I was designing shirts in my room. I was painting the walls in my room. I was learning. I was working on my craft because I felt that I could do it. And that repetition, that I was telling her, that those 10,000 hours that really put me in. When I had to do certain projects in high school and college, based on my designs, the class was only up to a certain level, and I was watching videos on how to advance and do more. And by the time I would come in, I was much further ahead on lessons that were supposed to be later on in further weeks. So a lot of this things that are of where I find myself at is all amounting, all the work that I did that you do behind closed doors,
Reps
right?
and sets.
All the things that you're doing when nobody's watching, all the things when you don't have to. And all of that, exactly, I agree with it 100%. It all comes down from passion. I'm in this journey to, I have nothing to prove to anybody. Like, I'm making myself out to be the very best at what I do. Yeah. But long ago, I let go of the idea that I'm trying to do this for anything or anybody. And I think that the only thing that I'm doing this for, or why I work so hard for, is A, because I believe that I can. I've seen all the greats above me and all the people who succeed. Yeah. And I feel inspired by them to be able to succeed the same way. But also at the same time, I want to be able to be an inspiration to others, the same way that these people serve inspiration to me. Yeah. And most importantly, with my child, I want my child to see me accomplish and witnessing me doing all the dreams. He sees me when we edit these podcasts, and I'm going in there and I'm like, hold on, baby, let me finish this. He's like, but why do you do podcasts? He's asking me all these things. And I want you to see, I bring him here to the office. I see him. I show him how we design. Exposed. I take him to vitamin shops. I take him to the Walmarts, and I point him out. You see that? I did that. You see this? Yeah. This is my product. And pretty soon we're going to have our own product here too. Yeah. And I give him all these things so you can watch the journey across the way. Yes. And you can see your dad did it. And if your dad was able to do it, you saw your dad not having any boundaries, not having any ceilings, what do you think is going to happen with that child by the time he reaches my age? Because these are all things that I had to learn. Yeah. Like, these are things that I had to learn on my own, where I had to take these ceilings off that society puts in you, that your own parents put on you. My pops told me, and I love my pops to death. I love my mom. They're my best friends. I speak to them more than I do, besides Ike and my team here. I speak to them more than anybody else, and so I love them to death. But my pops told me years ago, he says, when I said I was going to be an artist, he says, by the time you sell your first painting, I'll be dead.
Oh, gosh.
And we're here now, Pops. I'm going to send you the link.
I 10 for 10% off.
But yeah, I think it's that, man. I think, and then so the other question I kind of want to follow up with that, because not everybody has a passion. Not everybody has this thing like we do, or the certain things that we're fighting for. And we each have our own individual reasons of why we're fighting or we're striving towards these things, right? Whether it's for our own ego, to prove something to somebody else, et cetera, whatnot. But not everybody has this. So if you don't have this, and also on top of that, you're clouded by going to work or going to do these things, or they're clouded by doing these things that they don't want to do, that clouds your head up too, right? That you're not in the flow state where you're extremely excited about what you're doing. Everything that's in your head is, I hate doing this, I hate being here, I don't want to be here, and I want to get out of this situation. So it's hard when you have all this stuff weighing down on you. It's hard to really have a vision to push you forward. What would you say, or how do you battle with those things? I think all of us have kind of been in those positions at some point.
My personal take on it is that example that somebody's somewhere and they're unhappy, etc. The truth is if they were not enough people talk to themselves. We think we talk to ourselves. We don't. We actually hear ourselves, but we don't talk back to ourselves. So we think these bad things, I'm not happy, and then they just move on, right? You just got to take the time and say, okay, I'm not happy, but hold on. Why am I not happy? Like, walk yourself through a systematic step process and be like, okay, now what's my solution, right? And so that example, whoever that person is that would be in that life, they're actually living out of alignment, right? And so they're out of alignment with their conscience, because their conscience is telling, I'm not happy. This is not good. Sacrifices are not, it's not what we want to be doing. More time with the family, whatever the case is for individuals. But their conscience is telling them that they're out of alignment. And that little voice is trying to tell you, hey, you're not supposed to be here, or whatever the case is, and we need to move. But we're so stubborn and so bullheaded sometimes, we don't want to do that, right? And so the way I would kind of flip it a little bit is, and I was doing this with one of my coaching clients recently, is I asked, and I guess I could ask y'all, and we can go through the scenario, right? Because we're all going to die one day, right? And so, everybody knows I went through a men's development program, 72 hours, and there's a certain evolution. I can't give too much about it, right? There's certain evolution that we go through different non-physical things. They're more mental breakthroughs and clarity, et cetera, right? But I present the setting, right, where one day, Rojas, unfortunately, fortunately for the Lord, you're going to pass one day. You're not going to be here with us anymore. That's a true hard fact that we all know, right? And one day you're no longer going to grace this world with your presence, man, right? And so we all know that we're going to die one day. And so the question is, if you were to die today, well, we know that what happens? It's going to be a ceremony. It's going to be a rosary. It's going to get up in the church. I'm sure depending on the faith denomination, you'll have somebody, a pastor, a preacher, to go up there and talk. But more often times than not, you have a group or a wife or a family member come up, and they say some nice things about the man or woman that passed, right? And they'll have like a little obituary of sorts. And it's like, hey, Rojas was a da-da-da-da-da guy, right? And so what I would ask is, and what I would ask my client is, let's just say you die today. How would you write your own obituary? Because you can't undo the past, and you can't project aspirations in the future because you just died. So we have to literally evaluate the now, and basically the now is what the obituary would read. And so if we split the mind and we say, okay, if I were to die today, what's my legacy? What is my obituary? What kind of man was I? What kind of imprint did I leave on this world? I was, a nice guy, but I didn't do this, I didn't accomplish much, or whatever the case is, right? And then there's another opportunity to think on a visionary standpoint and be like, okay, well, I'm not dead yet. So the day that I do pass, what do I want to be remembered by? What do I want my legacy to be? And if you look in that mindset and you write down, man, well, I want to be a man of honor. I want to be a man of integrity. I want to be respected. I want to be kind. I want everybody to know that I left a positive net charge of love with them. Like when they were around me, they felt my spirit. Like, I left a bunch of positive deposits, right? Like whatever the case is, he built companies, he gave jobs, he created opportunities. Whatever your vision for yourself would be is your legacy. And so I think if people were to just ask themselves like, hey, what do you want to be remembered by? Like, what do you want your legacy to be? Well, I want to be da-da-da-da. Okay. So are the steps that you're taking today, are they in alignment with that legacy or that vision?
Right.
Well, I guess not. So let's move, right? And that's the micro step process. But, thinking on it, right? Legacy and just kind of, your son, essentially, men get taught how to be men by other men, right? And so you're teaching him and showing him things and realities that he would not know unless you're presenting it to him and showing it to him that the opportunities are real, right? That these things are not fabrications of social media, that I actually saw my dad do these things, right? And so you're bringing a level of reality to him that, you know, some kids only see, you know, in movies, right? And so you're starting a legacy with him, right? And you're showing him, which is amazing, but I know that's not like the fullness. So like, what's your legacy, bro? Like, what would you want to, you know, leave on your obituary? What would you want things to be said about you? I mean,
if I got to pick about what I wanted to be an inspiration to people that no matter whatever you believe in, no matter what your dreams and your aspirations are, that they can't become true.
there you go.
No matter the things that you aspire, there's nothing big enough, there's nothing small enough that you can't have or you can't do. And that kind of goes back to the beginning of this conversation of the feeling of where we need stimulants or not to be able to perform. I feel like we have this beautiful vehicle, the most perfect thing in this world, is us as human beings, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But we have the abilities to think, we have the abilities to dream, to create, to build, to express ourselves.
Yep.
And to be able to not put this thing to use, it's like it's only us against us. So if I got to pick and choose, it'd be to be able to show others that no matter what you believe in, no matter what you're after, it can be done.
Yeah.
And you can achieve it. You can turn your body to do this. And I think my life, I figured out that a lot of the things that I do have been in discovery of myself to see if I can do them or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's what has led me to believe that I am who I am. The bodybuilding thing, I competed like a couple years ago, and I've been around bodybuilders. Ike stays in phenomenal shape.
Yep.
Always. And I came into this industry as a young cat, and watching all these guys I stay with, like all of them, Mike G, Ike, Fish, my boy Fish, JP to this day is still incredible.
Yeah, he's swelled up, man.
And they all Eddie
We need
like
JP drug test JP Proceps.
I'm watching them. I came into this industry as a young cat. I'm watching them all look amazing, and now I'm part of this group. And obviously, they say the 5 people you surround yourself as you become the 6.
Yep.
And I was in this lifestyle. I was trying to become that, or I was trying to follow that, and I never went through with it. I never really thought I could.
Yeah.
And a couple of years ago, in the midst of mayhem in my life and things were just kind of changing and going for me, I decided to compete. I just put in my head, I'm going to do it. In the midst of that, we were growing a brand that required a lot of work.
Yep.
I was living completely far away. I've just shifted my life from working from home to going back into an office and doing all these little things. And I did it. I pulled through. They used to taunt me the whole time. Like, he ain't going to do it. He ain't going to compete. He ain't going to do it. He says he's been doing.
I saw the pics, man. You look good, bro.
And I did it. And I did it. And I got most promising athlete out of every single person that competed in there.
What's up?
And that was just a notch under my belt.
Yeah.
That is just, I have nothing to prove.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it for him. I'm not doing it for JP or the people who told me I couldn't. I'm not an artist to try to prove to my pops, I told you I could make this and I could make far more money than you've ever made.
Yeah.
When you told me I couldn't, I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it for me to be able to build this level of self-esteem that I can fucking do this because I just proven to myself that I can.
Yeah.
Like whether it's cooking a recipe since I'm 7 years old, 8 years old, I'm cooking in the kitchen from recipes to teaching myself how to airbrush, teaching myself how to tattoo, then moving on into graphic design and becoming all that I could be, meeting celebrities when I was told that you can't go to them, and I did. Yeah. And having all these things happen, competing when I was told I couldn't. All these things are little notches that says, you see that? I did it. You see that? I did it. You see that? So to me, there's nothing in front of me that I can't do. Yeah. I've been saying this for a while. When I made kind of this discovery, I was like, I don't envy any other man because I don't feel that any other man is capable of doing something that I can't. Yeah. Show me the way. If anything, they serve as an inspiration to me. Yeah.
Well, there's a saying, nobody can be a better you than you.
Yeah.
So that's it. That's it. It's over. Like, and all the reps and sets, essentially, everything you're talking about, it's beautiful. You know, it's like one thing that really resonates a lot with me is the word confidence, right? And so you build confidence through competence, right? And so your repetitions bring and build competence, right? You begin to get better. And so you have more knowledge. Now you're competent in a subject matter, right? You become a subject expert in that matter, right? And then once you begin to build so much competence, through the competence, you build your confidence, right? And then if you think about it, when you have confidence in something, like you're confident in your creative skills, right? There's like a very solid feeling about that confidence that I don't think anything can waver your confidence in that department, because you're very strong in knowing you're probably your own worst critic of anything, right? But as far as outside voices, you have very strong confidence. And so you think about it, if we can build confidence through competence in all areas of our lives, how full and strong we would be. This world, it always has, social media and just criticism and all this pressure on us, that we, our confidence kind of goes down. And so like, I truly believe like confidence is a lifestyle that we have to really practice it in everything. And if you build that in your life, man, like there's nothing gonna stop you. Like, cause I mean, you just feel like the dude, like you're the man.
And that's leaving that behind is when somebody asks to write that, he was able to do anything he ever wanted to because he believed he can.
Yes.
That's it.
Yeah, it's truly the belief.
What about you? What do you want to be said in your obituary?
I don't know. I think, I go back to being a hard worker and, kind of similar, being a fat kid growing up, being told you can't do things.
Yeah.
You're not the most gifted. You don't have the genetics, this and that. I think it's inspirational that you can achieve success by hard work. Just hard work. There's no secret recipe there. Just working hard, man.
Yeah.
Working hard.
I love it.
You go way back, I don't know, the century or whatever, but you go way back in time, man, when, there was no cities and stuff like that. You had, basically farmers and whatever, right?
Yeah.
And pretty much everybody back in the day, you had one trait, one skill set. You're a swordsman, you're a hunter,
yes,
you're the cook, you're the this, you're the that, right? Those people in those times worked on their trait, their skill every day to make sure in that village that they're in, they're the best, doctor, whatever, right?
Yep.
And they got that notch on their belt that's what they accomplished. And straight up, like if you're the doctor of the village, everybody relies on you being the doctor of the village, right?
Yep.
So I think, being a hard worker, I think, people know me, I'm all about loyalty. I think it's something that this world's really forgot a lot about.
Yeah.
I'm old school in a way of doing business straight up with people. Yeah. With a handshake.
Yep.
You look somebody in the eye and in terms of how you do business.
Yep.
And I think, I think I would be and will be known for just having a huge heart, man. Like, yeah, I love helping people, especially my friends and my family. And that's always been me. And, it's come to burn me, over the years, but that's life. That's life at the end of the day. Yeah. But to the main point is that just to prove that, hard work, dedication, grit, it goes back to repetitions. I mean, anything we do in life, everything goes back to repetitions, right? And the more you do something, the more, more it becomes natural to you. In sense, the easier it shall become, right? Yes. But yeah, I think it's that, man. Just, anything is accomplishable. It's just going to take hard work. And, you don't have to be the best person in that. Yeah. I wasn't the best baseball player on any of my teams. I was one of the better ones. But I was also the captain and the leader of the team. There you go. And that wasn't because of my talent. It was because of my work ethic. Correct. Yep. So if it's, teaching people how to become a leader, lead people, be happy for people. Yeah. I'm probably one of the most unselfish people that you'll meet out there, which sometimes goes towards the disadvantage to me because one of the things I need to work on is being more selfish. Right. Yeah. But yeah, I would say that. Yeah. That's actually I was, my good friends now, but his name is Ray Cash. He's a Navy SEAL, and I had hired him for some mindset coaching. Right. And so I was inspired. There's a guy named Jesse Itzler out there, a very successful individual. I've heard of him, right? And so he hired David Goggins, essentially to come and live with him, straighten his life out and live with him, right? Yeah. And Goggins, fucked them all up and shit, right? Anyways, well, I had met Ray Cash. He's a great friend. I call him Uncle Ray. Probably less than a month prior to that. And so I was watching this. I used to be part of a group called the Arte Syndicate with Andy Frisella and Ed Milet.
And so I couldn't go to one of the meetups, but I was able to watch it live from home. And Jesse Isser was on stage, and he was like, yeah, you know, and I hired a Navy SEAL to give me some mindset coaching. And I was like, man, that's cool. Man, I wish I knew a Navy SEAL to like hire some mindset. And then I was like, hold the fuck up, I know a Navy SEAL. And I was like, I don't really know him, but let's see what's up. And so I messaged him, like, hey man, I don't know if you remember me, but you know, that he's like, fuck yeah, I remember you, bro. He's like, have you ever Googled yourself? Like, I know who the fuck you are. And I was like, oh, well, look, man, do you do coaching? That's kind of weird. And he's like, man, I don't do business coaching, but I don't know if I can coach you in that. And he's like, but mindset shit. And I was like, yeah, I'm talking about mindset. And, but yeah, he was like, one of the biggest things is we were going over a couple of different lessons. And he's like, man, Santi, I don't think I've ever told anybody this. He goes, but you need to actually practice being more selfish. He's like, because you do too much for other people that you're not doing enough for yourself. He goes, and you're not giving yourself your own claps. And I think, you know, we have people that have big hearts. I think what happens, and maybe not intentionally, but we become certain areas of our lives, we become people pleasers is really truly what it is. Because when you're pleasing everybody else, but you're not being pleased yourself, well, you end up falling victim to people pleasing, and everybody's pleased, but the person that needs it the most, which is self, right? And so it's always self. And he was like, you need to be more selfish. And I was always conscious of being anti-selfish, right? Because you know, my mentor at the time was always like, humble. I have a bad relationship with the word humble now. And because of the way he leveraged it with me, it was used in a way to not allow myself to build the confidence that I needed, right? And it was like, you know, bring down. And I'm a biblical guy, so I was like, okay, well, it makes sense. Then Andy Frisella said some stuff a while back, and, you know, on confidence and humility and all these different things. And I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, you have to believe in yourself, and you have to take care of yourself. Because if you don't, who are you going to impact? Yeah. You can't even help yourself, right? And so, to the selfish point, yeah, man. It's why
we get along.
Yeah.
I mean, it's why we've always connected, man.
Yeah, maybe,
you know?
man.
And it's not easy. I mean, you know, probably in some of the stuff you do and books and tests and probably stuff, you probably find that some of the most successful business owners and entrepreneurs are overly selfish. And that's actually been a trait that's actually helped them succeed in their life.
Yeah.
Right, wrong, or indifferent.
Yeah.
They probably screwed a lot of people along the way.
Yeah.
Because of that. But at the flip side, you know, they were selfish and it's made them successful, right?
Yeah.
So, but for some people like me and you, it's very difficult. And it's something we have to like work on and it's just tough.
But you know, the way he says it, and kind of going back to what I stated from the beginning, how we balance each other so well. Mm-hmm. That's how he is. He'll find a way to make it work. He'll try to make sure that everybody's happy. He's actually the only reason, I've told him this before, but he's the reason why I stayed. I've always been like, I know that I'm my space, or like I've always known that I'm meant to be on my own and I'm meant to work for myself.
Okay.
I just had never taken the courage to do so until now. But every job that I had, I would only be there for a year, and I would become very good at it, and I would move up in ranks. But eventually after that, I'm like, this is not what I want to do. Yeah. Every single job. The only reason I stayed at Prosos when he hired me at that company, I stayed at that company for how many years? 6, 7 years maybe? Yep. Wow. As long as I had ever worked anywhere. And I'm like, wow. And the only reason why I stayed that long was he would check in on me consistently. Something as simple, he would walk in, he's like, you good? Everything's okay? Yeah. Money's good? It's like, well, you know, like I could do a little more right now. It's like, no problem. Let me see what I can do. He'd come back next day, the end of the week. It didn't matter when. He always came back. Yeah. Boom, here's more. Boom, here's more. And those things, but just aside from the money, it was just coming in and checking in on me and asking me how I'm doing. That alone took it. That was a life lesson that I was 22, 23 years old when I got that. It allowed me to, like I said, I was under his wing. I always admire that. But going back to, you know, in retrospect and how we balance each other, I tend to call myself selfish. And I'm selfish with my time. I'm selfish with my work. Mm-hmm. I'm selfish with what I choose to do and how it affects me. And I have this very simple analogy of in the airplane, where the airplane's coming down and the mask come on.
Yep.
You have to put the mask on first, otherwise you can't help the person next to you.
100%.
Jay-Z song, you can't be the poor, you can't help the poor if you're one of them. So I have always, if I have to get something done, I have to get it done because it's something that I personally need to make sure that it gets done for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And how it affects other people and how much time it takes away from other people, this and that, it doesn't matter because I got to get this stuff done.
Yeah.
Because I know what's important for me in my life, in my long term, in my future.
Mm-hmm.
And again, those 10,000 hours. If I miss a birthday, somebody's birthday, it sucks. I'm going to be a bad friend. No, but during that birthday that I missed, I was at home working on my 10,000 hours.
Yeah.
And then today, if that person who that birthday I missed financially may need help or may need a support, may need a job, anything, I'm able to provide. So, and I'm even in my relationship as well right now. My relationship right now, I don't do long distance relationships. I got into a long distance relationship. And I told her this even recently, we were having this conversation. I had a selfishness because I knew and I understood that this year was going to require a lot of work for us to build.
Yeah.
Time that I don't have to be on the phone, time that I don't have to dedicate to somebody else. Whether did I take them out enough? Whether am I present enough for them? Am I listening to them? No, I'm tired. No, I'm in the office. And selfishly enough, that's what it was. Obviously, it works, and we built a foundation from way before from being long distance. But it's you have to do these things. You have to build yourself up. You have to do what's right for you, so that you're able to show up for the person next to you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you give, and another analogy is the water. Like, you got to be able to come into a relationship, and that's a personal relationship. That's you being married. That's us in a business relationship. We got to be able to pour water into each other.
Yeah.
Right? It can't be him pouring into me all the time, or it can't be me draining myself all the time.
Yeah.
And in order for you to be able to pour, your cup's got to be full. And your cup, if you're not being selfish, your cup is not full.
Yeah.
So I'm big on selfish. And
I see a lot of truth in that statement. And the truth is, if your world is not right, meaning that you're not taking care of yourself and your world, you're not truly going to be able to take care of others in your world, right? And so the funny thing about it is that, you know, the selfish, you know, it's a term, and don't get me wrong, there's there are negative aspects that people can take the word selfish and do different actions with it, right? But I think you have a heart, and so there's a difference between taking care of self and being heartless. There's a difference there, right? Because you do have a big heart, you have compassion, right? But the priority of taking care of self so that I can impact more and still help people, because I have responsibilities that pull on me, you have to do that. Otherwise, to your point, all you do is pour. And at the end of the day, how much more helpful are you truly going to be at the end of the day in 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, 5 years? You're not, because all you ever did was, you know, pour out, and now you're more of a liability than an asset. Right. And so, you know, it's to the Ike's point, you know, like, you know, a lot of hyper successful people, you know, maybe they're very selfish. I would say very hyper successful people have they have an understanding of being selfish, of taking care of self, because they have a lot of belief in self, because they have to, in order to go up there, you're going to get some arrows in the back. Yep. We all got scars on our backs, and that ain't no secret, right? And so the thing about it is, though, you kind of have to believe in yourself a lot. Otherwise, you won't get far enough, right? And so hyper successful people typically believe in themselves a lot. There's maybe a little bit of narcissism sometimes. I was going to say it, yeah. You know, narcissism, it has to be balanced, in my opinion, right? But a little bit of narcissism, meaning that you have the belief in yourself that you're going to do it and nobody can stop you. That's very important. But the other side of the fence is having the humility inside that says, I know I can be better, and I'm going to do better. And matter of fact, I'm going to try harder, and I'm going to make sure that I'm right, so that way I'm better for more people. And I think that's the truth of, like, where you're coming from with the selfish, is that we're selfish so that way we can be selfless, which is when we help people. But you can't help people if you're a liability and falling out, right? That's I don't know. I don't know if that connects, but absolutely, mentally for me, that's where that goes for that.
What's one thing you like to leave to anyone who's can take that another nugget? I think we've had a lot of nuggets in this talk, but what's one nugget you like to leave somebody with that perhaps going through the same exact situation, or hasn't found their confidence, hasn't found hasn't found that vision, that passion that drives them inside, and they're looking to get out of it, to get out of that funk. It's a deep one, and I know it's no right or wrong
Yeah, it's
answer,
hard,
so-
you know. I mean, a lot of things, you know. It depends where they're at in life. If they're young, middle age, where the age has a big factor because life gives you experience, and sometimes you don't know if left or right is the right road until you've gone through a couple of those roads, right? So I guess depends at where the experience is at is in life. But the biggest thing is that if somebody feels unfulfilled inside, that means there's a sense of purpose that has a void. There's a void in there somewhere. And that question mark and this desire for more, this daydreaming, this gazing, this, thought process, you have to listen to your conscience. That means there is something inside of you that wants more. Now, what is it and where do you go? Well, you're going to have to listen to yourself and talk to yourself. And so pay attention to what are things that upset you and what are things that you're not fulfilled or happy with. And so as soon as you do that, I'm a science guy. So I think, science, and I think real technical, I guess, at times, right? And so I think of reverse engineering everything, right? And so I know if I don't like this, okay, well, how do I reverse engineer this to get to the outcome that I want, right? And so whatever you're feeling, this seems to be throwing you off, that's your conscious talking to you. If you're spiritual, that's the good Lord talking to you up top. And pay attention to that. And then, do a little self-reflection, read some books. Are you a creative mind? Take some assessments, figure out who you are. What kind of personality style are you? Are you more of a thought person? Are you more of a compliance person? Like you're process oriented, you're operations based. Maybe you're not really good with details, but man, you're a mover. Man, you can sell. Man, you got personality, you got charisma. You can make people laugh. You walk into a room and you're the center of attention, right? Those guys typically aren't really good with super details because they're extroverted. Maybe you're introverted. Maybe you're in a sales position and you should be more behind IT, right? Like you got to learn yourself a lot more. And so that's the thing I think a lot of people, they don't understand. They don't take the time, which is really truly personal development. They don't take the time to invest in themselves and really understand who they are. And we're all wired a certain way, and there's nothing wrong with it. Everybody's just wired a certain way. And when I started to test myself and take a lot more introspective things to learn how I'm wired, rather than fight how I'm wired, I'd rather just understand how I'm wired, double down on my strengths, and then bring other individuals or other partners or whatever the case is, people that have other insights that can cover my blind spots that maybe I'm not too naturally in depth with, right, but they are. And so if I'm good at this and they're good at this, well, let's combo that, right? So in the DISC assessment, I'm a D style. So about 3% of the population resonates with my personality, how I think, my risk tolerance, a lot of different things, right? There's different situations. There's different other personalities. Well, my wife, she's a C. And so C, they're not drivers, right? And so, but C's are very good at operations, compliance. They're checklist people. Boom, 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 boom. They're very organized. And when I was building, the supplement chain here in Texas, right? Started at 4 and we scaled it to 28. At one time, I personally had 8 locations. When I exited that company, my personal locations were doing north of 4 million. But was part of that success that helped me out is I was trying to do everything, and I noticed that I wasn't really good at certain little things, but I was a fucking driver, right? Like I did 7 figures by the time I was like 27. Mm-hmm. And the big thing is I drive, but she happened to be a C. So she handled all my admin, and I could just go break down the walls and go make the big shit happen, right? Because why get caught up in the stuff that I wasn't good at? But I learned about myself. That's my point, right? And so learn how you're wired, double down, understand yourself, how you're wired. Don't fight it, but understand it and get better. And then live some life, make some mistakes. How are you gonna know if it's right or wrong until you find out, right?
Chances.
Look, man, if it don't kill you, don't die out there trying to find stuff. But if it don't kill you, you're gonna learn something. And I think we take from the last podcast is every season has a lesson. And so do some things, enter some seasons, and take the lessons, extract the lessons, Those are gifts from, I believe, the man above, and put it in the bag of tools. And so as you walk through your path, you got different tools that you've racked up, and I don't do good in that situation. I'm gonna go over here. How do I know that? My past experiences told me, and now I'm gonna be hyper successful in here because now I know why. Because I had the balls to experience things, right? And so I think if somebody's struggling with purpose and what to do, one, talk to yourself, understand, listen to your conscience. That is typically your North Star, really, truly trying to talk to you. If you're spiritual, that's God trying to talk to you. And then three, take some assessments and read some books. Understand how you're wired. Don't fight it. Embrace it. Double down. There are millionaires in the art world. There are millionaires in the IT world. There are millionaires in the sales world. All those three different millionaires have deficits that the other millionaires are their primaries. That doesn't mean you can't be hyper successful if you're wired differently.
Right.
You just got to figure out how you're wired. I don't know.
I think that's great information, man.
Yeah.
I think a lot of good knowledge there. Going back to repetitions, sets, trials, continue to do things, follow your passion.
Yes.
Learn about yourself.
Yes.
And ultimately take chances.
Yes.
I think that's where a lot of people hit the final roadblock is they just don't take that chance.
Yeah.
So in recap, man, I think great having you on again. Definitely dove a lot deeper this time in some stuff, which is great. Some really valuable information out there.
Full transparency to the audience. There's no script here. We just,
no.
I'm like, hey guys, what do y'all want to talk about? We're just going to go. It's like, oh shit. All right.
I think
let's go.
That's the lovely part about it. And one of the many reasons why I love having you here. Actually, nobody really knows, but you planned this trip just out of your own kindness of your heart to come out here, come spend time with us.
Yes, sir.
You could have been in and out with what you have to do tomorrow, but you chose to spend time with us, and I'm really grateful for it. One of the things I'm grateful for in this entire journey and this experience is getting to the great people that Ike knows and he introduces me to that end up become lifetime friends. So
yeah, 100%.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you for coming and visiting us. This is your house now.
Man.
It's been your house.
Santi's casa.
It's the casa. I love it, man. I love it, man. It's a warm energy here, and I've known Ike for years, and Ike's just a solid dude. Always got a good respect factor and a love factor for Ike, and then you're just, man, you got good energy, and I can see the synergy, and I truly appreciate every time I come, y'all making me feel welcomed here, and my intuition tells me more good things are to come.
Without a doubt,
in the future.
We'll be swinging for the fences again
every day, baby.
Thank you, my brother. Appreciate
All right, everybody. Appreciate y'all tuning in. Make sure to follow us on YouTube, and thanks again. We out.
Like and subscribe.
Clap it. Cool, man. How was it? Good? Good?
Good? Yeah.